Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the top 3 most overpowered classes in Wrath of the Lich King. But first, we are doing a special Wrath of the Lich King beta key giveaway soon. So if you want to be entered for a chance to win, make sure you like this video and you are subscribed to the channel for when we start giving them away to subscribers only. Now, in no particular order, one of the most powerful classes in Wrath of the Lich King is the Paladin, especially the PROT Paladin. Now, compared to a PROT warrior, the PROT Paladin is like a power drill, and a PROT warrior is like a screwdriver. And I got some props here just in case you don't know which is which. So with a screwdriver, it takes a lot of effort to screw something in, and it takes such a long time. But when you play a Paladin, it's kind of just like, and boom, it's done quick and easy. And the thing is like they both get the job done, but one is going to be much easier. All right, so I'm going to put these down now, but I'm just trying to explain that when you play a PROT Paladin, it's going to be easier, it's going to be quicker, you're going to be better, right? Both can fulfill the role. One will do it better. So PROT Paladin, very, very overpowered, but I would say Wrath is definitely one of the most balanced expansions. I made a "This is broken" video about every class because each class has a spec and a time and a place where, yes, it truly is broken. Paladin just so happens to have the most specs, times, and places where it's broken, with abilities like Sacred Shield, Beacon of Light, and so many other broken abilities. Paladins are just decked out. Holy Paladin tops the healing meters in PvE. It's the most mana efficient. And it also just happens to be a really, really great PvP healer too. PROT Paladin, like we discussed earlier, is really one of the best tanks, able to easily hold threat in an AoE setting. You don't run out of mana because of Divine Plea never, going away. It's also a new ability. And if they take fatal damage, they just come back to life. Amazing. It's so awesome. Rat even has its time to shine in PvE, being S tier in Iceground, Citadel raids and beyond once they have the gear. And really, overall, Paladin just shines as one of the most overpowered classes in Wrath in pretty much most situations. So with Paladin out of the way, you're probably wondering, what could the other two possibly be? I feel like the Paladin one is pretty straightforward. We all kind of know at this point, Paladin's the Wrath of the Lich King expansion where they're the best, but number 2, in my opinion, is Death Knight. Now, in Wrath, we'll be getting Wrath Classic. We'll be getting Balance Patch 3.3.5, which means Death Knights will not be as strong as they were on release or through many of the first initial patches. But they are still an exceptional class in many regards, and I want to talk about some things most people miss about the Death Knight. Now, Blood Tanks, which is the best tanking specialization for raiding in patch 3.3.5, actually can do things that no other tank can do. And that is hold high amounts of threat from a range. Now, Icy Touch is the most powerful single threat generation ability in the game, and it also happens to be a ranged ability. Now, in raid fights where the tank needs to kite, there are quite a few, but in particular, for an example, like against Professor Putricide, you have to tank out of the goo, out of the choking gas bombs, among other situations, and no other tank can actually hold aggro at a range as well as a Death Knight. They usually have to get in melee range to use an ability. So Death Knights have that over other tanks. No one else really has that. And not only that, but Death Knights have the ability to instantly reposition monsters with Death Grip. I mean, no other tank can instantly do that with Death Grip. This is helpful against bosses like Algalon the Observer, where you need to drag the living constellations into the black holes. But besides having great utility, they're also just super tanky. They have tons of self-heals. I don't think there's a single tank class that has more self-heals than a Death Knight. They got tons of damage mitigation talents and abilities. I mean, Death Knights are just excellent tanks in PvE. When it comes to PvP, Death Knights are not joking around either. They are required in many top teams. Paladin Warrior Death Knight, also known as TSG. You could also run Paladin Hunter Death Knight, PhD, and these are 2 team comps that are Gladiator tier. Now, the Unholy Death Knight is equipped with a Ghoul Stun. They've got Mind Freeze to interrupt spells. In melee range, they got the Ranged Silence. They also have that Death Grip again. They can use that to interrupt spells. I mean, Overall, Death Knights have the tools to get kills in Arena, and not only that, but they also have really good damage mitigation too. Anti-Magic Shell, Icebound Fortitude, Anti-Magic Zone can actually really help your teammates, and let's not forget their amazing snares. Snares are critically important in PvP, I'm sure you all know that. They've got a ranged snare called Chains of Ice, which is a 90% freaking move speed reduction at range, and also a huge melee AoE one called Desecration, where these skeleton arms are grabbing people, slowing them down by 50% in an AoE. It's amazing. Overall, Unholy Death Knights in particular are just absolutely amazing in PvP, but not just PvP, because when it comes to PvE, both Unholy and Frost are actually very viable and powerful PvE specializations. With talents like Wandering Plague for Unholy, this makes them monsters when it comes to AoE. There's also Ebon Plaguebringer, which gives the whole raid a 13% increased spell damage bonus against target with your diseases on them. Overall, Death Knights just have a lot to offer to a raid. I mean, not just Unholy. Look at Frost with improved Icy Talons, giving the entire raid 20% increased melee haste. And then if you're a blood tank, you also bring the raid 10% increased attack power. So pretty insane. I would say, you know, being amazing in both PvP and PvE makes Death Knights one of the most overpowered classes in Wrath, because not all classes and specs are good in both, and Death Knights have that. So give yourself an edge over other players and play the overpowered Death Knight. All right, now you might be wondering, what is that third class? Now guys, honestly, it's very difficult because once again, it's a very balanced expansion, but I have to admit, you know, in the most scenarios where a class is going to be overpowered in both PvP and PvE, I can only choose one class, and it's because they're in multiple team compositions that can achieve gladiator ranking again in more than just one spec. And because of this, the third most overpowered class in Wrath is the Warlock. Affliction Warlocks are one of the most consistently overpowered and powerful DPS classes in Wrath of Lich King in PvE, dealing exceptional damage throughout each raid tier, and a lot of that is due to the completely reworked talents which optimize the Affliction Warlock for damage and less about utility, which was the case in Burning Crusade. You'll notice that Warlocks do a lot of execute damage. They also have excellent raid-wide buffs, which can provide a raid, which they can provide to a raid in all three of their specializations, whether that's improved Fell Hunter in the Affliction tree, whether it's Demonic Pact in the Demonology tree, or improved Soul Leech in the Destruction tree. Warlocks are absolute beasts in PvE and Wrath of the Lich King. But when it comes to PvP, Warlocks have also changed a lot. The Demonology, once again, is still not super great in PvP, but Affliction is still super great for PvP, but Destruction is really what has changed a lot in Wrath and is really a beastly good PvP spec. Now in TBC that wasn't really the case. SLSL was the way to go, but now in Wrath, Destro Warlocks are amazing in PvP, paired with a high damage spellcaster like an Elemental Shaman, and these two can blow up a target in mere seconds in Wrath of the Lich King. Not only that, but RLS, which is Roguelock Shaman, is another gladiator tier arena comp that Warlocks can join and dominate in. There's also cool new abilities too that Warlocks have, with their Demonic Teleporter and Chaos Bolt going through absorption effects. Warlocks truly do have everything that they need to tear it up in PvP. And since Warlocks do so well in both PvP and PvE, that lands them on the most overpowered classes list. And to be honest, once again, it was super hard to choose just 3 classes because honestly, all the classes have a time and place where they are completely broken, but these are my top 3 pick. Now it might be easy to decide, well, I'll just play one of these 3 overpowered classes, but why not play something that is both overpowered and fun? Check out the video above my head, which explains the top 5 most fun classes to play in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I will see you there.